Welcome to Defending Digital. I'm Chad Warner. Today's topic, 15 security and privacy tips for social media safety. Have you used a social media site or app today? Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Pinterest, Snapchat, LinkedIn, etc. How many times? How many sites or apps have you used? You don't need me to tell you that social media use has skyrocketed over the last 10 years. With it has come a host of threats to security and privacy. Let's look at a few of those threats and how to defend against them. The threats. 1. Insecure accounts. Could the passwords to your social media accounts be easily guessed by those who know you? Are they made up of common dictionary words, with maybe a number or two tacked onto the end? Is the username and password all that's required to log into your accounts? If so, you're inviting hackers to target you. 2. Malicious messages. Just as emails can contain malicious links and attachments, so can messages in social media sites and apps. 3. Location sharing. If you share your location on social media, either automatically or manually, you reveal that you're away from home and possibly other information that could put your money, possessions, or safety in danger. Even if you share your location only after you're safely home, you still reveal information about your behavior, places you frequently visit, times you commonly travel, etc., that could be used against you. Criminals monitor social media to see when you're on vacation. Then they may contact your elderly relatives to tell them that you've been in an accident and they need to send money for your treatment. 4. Revealing photos. If you post pictures of credit cards, identification cards and badges, plane tickets, boarding passes, passports, or other items that contain sensitive data, you could put your money, possessions, or safety in danger. 5. Exposing your date of birth. If you put your birth date in your profile, you increase your risk of identity theft. Scammers, fraudsters, and identity thieves can wreak havoc with just your name, date of birth, and address. 6. Revealing bio. Your bio may contain a lot of personal information about your family, relationships, employers, places you've lived, etc. Sometimes that information is visible to the public. Other times it's visible only to friends or connections. A bad actor could learn a lot about you from your bio. They could learn enough to answer security questions on your financial or medical accounts. 7. Unfriendly Friends. When you accept a friend on Facebook, a connection on LinkedIn, or the equivalent on other platforms, that person instantly gets access to a lot of your personal info. Are you sure that all of your friends or connections are who they say they are and that they don't mean you harm? And if that friend or connection is legitimate and their account gets hacked, then that hacker gets access to your personal info. 8. Staying logged in. If you use someone else's device, computer, phone, tablet, etc., to log into your account, and you just close the tab or the browser when you're finished, then the owner of that device will be able to come back later and use your account as you. 9. Social logins. Some websites save you the hassle of creating a separate username or password by letting you log in with a social media account. If you do, and if someone hacks the social media account you use, the person gains access to that website and any others that you've set up with that social media login. 10. Trusting third parties. If you allow a third-party app or account to connect to your social media, you may forget about it and unwittingly grant it access to your social media data for years. That third party could share your data with others or be hacked. 11. Targeting. Many social platforms personalize ads by default. That means the platform collects data about you from within the platform and even from other sites and apps that you use to show you ads that are tailored to who you are and what you like. Sometimes the platform shares that information with its partners too. 12. Public means public. If you participate in a public group, such as a Facebook group, then anyone on that platform can enter the group, see that you're a member, and see your activity, posts, comments, likes, etc. Do you ever share personal information in a public group? A bad actor could learn enough to scam you or answer your security questions. 13. Tell me about yourself. Have you joined groups or indicated your interests by liking or following them? Sometimes that info is visible to the public. Other times it's visible only to friends or connections. A bad actor could learn a lot about you from observing your groups and interests and use that info to scam you. 14. Abandoned accounts. Think back over the last 10 years. How many social media accounts have you created? How many are you still using? How many have you abandoned? Have you closed or deleted those accounts, or are they still out there? Hackers target unused social media accounts and use them to post malicious content or even gain access to your other linked accounts. Finally, 15. Privacy? Here? Do you expect the companies that run social media platforms to respect your privacy? Did you know that in the US, such platforms are considered public spaces, not private ones, and that any info shared there is covered under third-party doctrine? This means you have no reasonable expectation of privacy related to the data that the service providers collect on you. After going through this list, it's not hard to understand why the book Swiped says, quote, "The more time you spend on social media, the greater your vulnerability to hacking. Every picture you post, every quiz question you answer, every experience you recount, every shred of personal information you willingly share with friends increases the area of your attackable surface." End quote. So how can you increase your security and privacy? Let's go through each of these threats and see how to be safer on social media. 1. Secure your accounts. Make sure that every account has a different, long, complex password, 20 plus characters with a mix of uppercase, lowercase, numbers, and special characters. I recommend using a password manager such as LastPass to create and store your password. Enable two-factor authentication, sometimes called security codes, two-step verification, 2FA, or multi-factor authentication. When you do, avoid the SMS or text option if possible. It's better to use a hardware key. I like YubiKey, or an authenticator app such as Authy, which is what I use, or Google Authenticator. Create backup codes and store them somewhere secure. I use the notes field in the entry of LastPass. When you set security questions and answers, set nonsense answers and record them in a password manager. Again, I like LastPass. Regularly review each account's security and privacy settings because they change over time. Regularly take any security and privacy checkups which are offered by the platform. 2. Be careful with messages. Just as you need to be careful about clicking links in opening attachments in messages, in email and other messages, you must be careful about clicking links and opening attachments in messages that you receive on social media. I like to disable read receipts. I'm not a fan of read receipts in any messaging platform because I don't like people knowing when I've read their message. It reveals behavioral patterns about when and maybe where you check messages. 3. Disable location sharing. Disable location sharing in all social media apps. Don't post about travel until you're home, and even then, be careful about what details you share. You don't want to reveal too much about your behavior, places you frequently visit, times you commonly travel, etc., which could be used against you. 4. Be careful with photos. Don't post pictures of credit cards, identification cards and badges, plane tickets, boarding passes, passports, or other items that contain sensitive data. Every time you post a photo, or anything, use any controls that may be available to choose who can see the post. Use the smallest audience necessary. Be extremely careful about anything that you make public, as it makes it visible to the world. 5. Hide your date of birth. Don't put any part of your birth date, the month, day, or year, in your profile. And don't post about your birthday. If you insist on showing your birthday, ensure that no one can see your birth year, and that only friends and connections can see the month and day. And there's a whole post that I did on this topic of protecting your birth date online at defendingdigital.com. 6. Beware with your bio. Be very careful what you put in your bio. Don't reveal too much personal information. 7. Verify friends. When you receive a friend or connection request, it's a good idea to verify the person's identity, that they are the actual owner of the account and that they really sent you a friend request. You can do that by asking them in person or through some other trusted channel that you've previously used to communicate with them. Email, some other social media platform, text or SMS, phone call, etc. Or you could ask a trusted mutual friend to confirm their identity. 8. Log out of others' devices. If you use someone else's device, their computer, phone, or tablet, to log into your account, be sure to log out when you're finished. If you forget, log into your account from one of your own devices and look through the settings for sessions or logins for a way to log out remotely. 9. Don't use social logins. Do not use the social login option to log into other websites. Yes, it's more work to create separate logins for each site, but remembering the logins doesn't take any extra effort if you use a password manager. I like LastPass. 10. Be careful with third parties. Think carefully before you grant a third party access to your social media account. Be sure that you know what permissions the third party will have, what data they'll receive, and what they can do with your account. Regularly review the third party apps and accounts that have access, and remove those that are no longer needed. 11. Opt out of personal ads. Opt out of personalized ads whenever it's an option. to limit the amount of data that the social media platform and its partners collect and share about you. 12. Be careful with groups. If you participate in groups on social media, pay attention to the group types. Groups can be public or private, though they may have different labels. Each type has different privacy settings. Be especially careful what you post or comment in a public group because of how many people can see your activity. But even in so-called private groups, beware that other group members can copy and paste and take screenshots to share your activity with others outside the group. And the social platform can also see the activity that's inside private groups. 13. Be wary of what groups and interests reveal. Be very careful what groups and interests you make visible through your liking or following them. Don't reveal too much personal information. Some platforms do let you hide your groups or interests. 14. Delete unused accounts. Close or delete any social media account that you're not using. If you're just claiming an account for future use, follow it from one of your active accounts or log into it regularly to watch for suspicious activity. Finally, 15. Be privacy-minded. Don't expect complete privacy on social media, only degrees of privacy. Assume that everything you post on social media is permanent. You may delete something, but the social media company may still store it for years, and other users or companies may have their own saved copies. When you create an account, don't provide more information than is necessary. Do you want to use your real name? Some companies have policies that require that, but not all. So in summary, what you should do, 15 steps. 1. Secure your accounts. 2. Be careful with messages. 3. Disable location sharing. 4. Be careful with photos. 5. Hide the date of your birth. 6. Beware with your bio. 7. Verify friends. 8. Log out of others' devices. 9. Don't use social logins. 10. Be careful with third parties. 11. Opt out of personalized ads. 12. Be careful with groups. 13. Be wary of what your groups and interests reveal. 14. Delete unused accounts. And 15. Be privacy-minded. And you can find all of the notes for this episode at defendingdigital.com, as well as learn more about personal cybersecurity and digital privacy.